Well, it looks like Lisa has got herself caught up again. We just saw her on Crime Stories not even like a month ago, where she really opened up and was very vulnerable about the things she went through as a child. And a lot of people in the comments were going back and forth on how good they felt like Lisa was doing. Some people felt like Lisa had went back to her bad ways. Some people thought Lisa was doing better. Well, today I was on my Patreon and somebody slid into my Patreon DMs and let me know that Lisa had been arrested again, and she was allegedly on the run for a few months before she finally got caught up. And I looked it up, and sure enough, she's currently in prison. She's been in custody since March 7th at the Vandalia Women's Prison in Missouri, and she's currently in diagnostics, where that's where they send you at first when you first go to prison, while they look at your behavior and try to determine the appropriate needs and appropriate placement that they can put that person into the correctional system. So then it was time to figure out what exactly Lisa had got caught up for. And at first I wasn't having very much luck looking up her arrest record or any recent arrest. Everything I was looking up was all from like 2022. But then I realized that Lisa has changed her last name multiple times since she has been married. She goes by Lisa McGraw, Lisa Hodge, Lisa, and there's another last name she goes by. So finally I tried her different last names, and at the very end I finally had luck, and I was able to come across a recent charge just from February of 2025. On February 21st of 2025, she was hit with a trafficking drugs in the second degree charge, a possession of a controlled substance charge, and a lawful possession of drug paraphernalia with a prior drug offense. 1 week later, a arrest warrant was put out for Lisa's arrest, and it says warrant for arrest, cash or professional surety bond, and the bond was $20,000. And it says as part of the warrant, she must attend all court hearings and submit to any orders, judgments, and sentences of this court or any court hearing this case. And she cannot consume alcohol or any illegal drugs, and submit to drug testing at any available site within 48 hours of release. So this is more information on the warrant. It says that the court finds there are reasonable grounds to believe that the defendant poses a danger to a crime victim, the community, or any other person. And it shows the counts. In count 1, the felony trafficking drugs in the second degree, it's punishable by up to 10 years in prison, but no longer than 30 years in the Missouri Department of Corrections. Count 2, for the possession of narcotics charge, she can receive not less than 5 years, not to exceed 15 years in the Missouri Department of Corrections. In count 3, the paraphernalia charge, she can receive not less than 1 day and not to exceed 1 year in the county jail, or a fine not to exceed $2,000 or any combination of such fine and imprisonment. So this warrant was put out, and it shows that Lisa was served the warrant that exact day. So it looks like they didn't have no problems finding Lisa once the warrant was put out. So they ended up catching her. They ended up taking her to the jail, where she was transferred to the prison eventually, and that's where she's currently residing. Hold up. So I thought the bond read $20,000, but according to this paperwork, her bond was $200,000, $250,000. So they're likely going to give her a hefty prison sentence. So here's more details on exactly what each of her charges were for. So count 1, the felony trafficking in the second degree charge, it says the defendant knowingly possessed more than 10 milligrams of fentanyl. Oh my gosh, Lisa, not fentanyl. A controlled substance. The defendant is a prior drug offender. They are also a persistent drug offender. They're not going to play around with Lisa when it comes to trafficking fentanyl. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they do life at her or a hefty sentence, especially considering her criminal history. Then it goes on to say that on February 21st, she possessed methamphetamine, knowing of its presence and nature, and it talks about how she's a prior drug offender, a persistent drug offender. They go on to explain how she has been found guilty of 2 or more felony offenses in the past, like back in 2020. She was found guilty of felony delivery of a controlled substance, and in May of 2018, she was caught delivering a controlled substance. In 2010, she was caught manufacturing meth. On the third count, possession of paraphernalia, she willingly and knowingly possessed a drug syringe. So she had needles on her to likely shoot up the fentanyl or meth that she had on her, which that's just so disappointing. I mean, it's all bad, but when you're shooting up, that is just a whole nother level of using drugs. And then it shows the probable cause statement from the Rolla Police Department. This does not have all the details on her arrest. They won't show it all. I have to request more information, but we can pretty much get the gist of it. It explains that Lisa and somebody else was pulled over. They ended up searching Lisa's vehicle, and they ended up finding drugs, paraphernalia, and they ended up arresting her. And not only did they find drugs in the car, but they also found drugs on Lisa herself. So that's going to be very hard to deny in court since she possessed them on her person. And then it goes on to explain that her and someone else were placed under arrest. Lisa was transported to the Dent County Jail, and this other guy was transported to another jail. And what I'm assuming happened is a lot of times when you get drug or gun charges, they'll put you on like a 72-hour hold and release you. So I bet they probably put her on a hold for like a day or two, then released her, and then the judge probably issued a warrant a week later to go pick her back up. And right here is the writ of habeas corpus ad. I don't even know how to say all that, but it just pretty much explains that the prosecuting attorney believes that Lisa is a threat to the community and that she needs to be serving her time in prison instead of out in the free world while she's awaiting her next court date. It does show that Lisa does have a lawyer for these cases, so that's good. And her next court date is on April 17th. She has a preliminary hearing, and what typically happens at a preliminary hearing, the prosecution presents evidence to a judge to establish probable cause, and they also try to establish any evidence that they have against the defendant to show that they committed the crime, and they allow the defense to cross-examine any witnesses and present their own evidence. This is pretty much put in place to make sure that they have enough evidence to move forward before they waste a bunch of time and resources on something that may not be worth it. But like I said, with the amount they found, with the type of drugs they found, and the fact that they found them physically on Lisa herself, I would say that this is a pretty open and closed case. Hopefully, I would assume if I was in Lisa's position that she would at least try to take a plea deal and maybe plead guilty to 1 or 2 of the charges to have the rest of them dropped. But that is it for this video, guys. I will continue following this case and be sure to keep you guys updated as more information comes in. I will definitely keep tabs on her preliminary hearing and what goes down with that, and I will be putting in a request for any more information that was left out from this probable cause statement and from the arrest report, and I'm going to try to see if I can get my hands on the body cam footage. I purchased Michael Simmons' body cam footage, but it is taking longer than I was hoping. Hopefully I have it in the next 2 or 3 weeks. They said they're finishing it up and they have to go through and cut out any personal information he may have shared in his body cam footage. So stay tuned for that. But let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. Big shout out to my subscriber who sent me this tea. They wanted to stay anonymous. I don't know if I thanked them already. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my Patreon if you want to be one of the people that hear the tea first, because they heard this tea first. I drop my tea there first when I can, and I share receipts that aren't shared on my channel or anywhere else, and then I share some of my research and receipts that aren't watermarked. So check that out if you're interested. My Patreon is in the description. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.